morning, everyone. I am Reverend Kate DuVivier, and I am really happy to welcome you all to the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad, whether you're here in person this morning or whether you're watching online, because we're live streaming today. Yay. So today we are here to celebrate the truth that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and that we can use it. And so in keeping this in mind, I'd like to invite you to just relax for a moment during our opening spiritual mind treatment. So let's just know and remember together the truth that this is a universe of spirit. That spirit is actually all there is, that everything we experience is made of the substance of spirit itself. That spirit engages in becoming by making everything out of itself. And so we know that each one of us is a spiritual being made of spirit, an expression of spirit, an individualization of spirit. And so we also know that within us are those same attributes of goodness, of truth, and of beauty, ready to be expanded, demonstrated, expressed in our world. And understanding that this is so, I easily claim on behalf of each and every person here today, and each and every person watching through the internet, good. That this day is a day of good. That we are able to feel joy in our hearts, that we are able to see and understand that our fellow humans are not strangers, but that we are family, that we are united, that we are able to care for each other and share with each other without fear of loss, without fear of there being enough, because this is a world of abundance. And when we live in harmony with this good, it must flower as naturally as a flower in the field. I know that this abundance is now demonstrated, not just through our celebration, but in all of our lives. And I give thanks that this is so, and invite you to know it along with me by saying together, and so it is. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a song today called I'm Stepping Out. I'm stepping out into a world of possibilities. I'm stepping out into a whole new way to live. There's so much waiting for me. The path is clear before me. I've got so much that I have yet to give. I'm stepping out and I'm committing to integrity. I'm stepping out, releasing every fear and doubt. The road just keeps on turning, and every path I'm yearning, I'm learning what this life is all about. I'm stepping out, let's do it again. I'm stepping out into a world of possibilities. I'm stepping out into a whole new way to live. There's so much waiting for me. The path is clear before me. I've got so much that I have yet to give. I'm stepping out and I'm committing to integrity. I'm stepping out, releasing every fear and doubt. The road just keeps on turning. At every turn I'm learning what this life is all about. I'm stepping out, do that 2 more times. I'm stepping out, big finish now. I'm stepping out.
Yay! Very nice. Thank you. Our musician today, Jennifer Hart. It's so nice to have you with us today. Nice to meet you. So, now, if you would, please go ahead and look inside your program and find the group reading. Let's read it together. There is one life, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect intelligence. I am an individualized expression of all that is. I am ever one with this perfect love and perfect intelligence. Now our reading is next. I wonder if I could ask Johnny to come up.
This is adapted from Think Your Troubles Away by ErnestHolmes. In learning to express life, to give release to the divine creative urge within us, we ultimately have to face the undeniable truth that thoughts do become things in our experience. What we need to do is to have our thoughts so conform to what we consider the nature of spirit to be, that nothing unlike its inherent good can become a part of our daily life. The process of doing this through the practical use of science of mind is actually very simple. We train our minds to believe that there is a spiritual presence within us, which guides, controls, comforts, and heals. We put gently but firmly out of our minds those thoughts which deny this belief, and we persist in this belief until finally it becomes a part of our nature to believe that the Spirit, through our minds, responds to us and that we are daily recreated in the image of perfection. We guard our thought against negative statements, against unbelief, until gradually we are living on the affirmative and constructive side of life. There is no one living who cannot practice the simple method of spiritual healing. Do not refuse any good or comfort that can come on the physical plane, but realize this: there is that which transcends the physical, which is the builder, creator, sustainer, and arbiter of all that is. There is also that thing in which one of us which is transcendent. As we learn to listen to this inner presence, getting our impulse from it, we shall create our prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, in conformance with the perceptions received from this inner presence and our increased awareness of perfection. It will restore our body and affairs in harmony with the divine pattern. So let each of us endeavor to heal himself and help to heal others of infirmities, troubles, and problems, not becoming discouraged, but always realizing that the possibility for healing is here and now, no matter how awkward our efforts may seem. Just as Shakespeare expressed 400 years ago, there is a divinity that shapes our ends. Rough hew them how we will.
is a hopeless jumble, and the raindrops tumble all around. Heaven opens a magic lane when all the clouds darken up the skyway. There's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and all those dreams that you dare to dream, they really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star, I'll wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, little bluebirds fly. If birds fly over that rainbow, why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond that rainbow, why, oh why can't I? Thank you.
Some of you know that our topic for today is how to let your troubles melt away. So that seemed like the perfect song. I even looked for lemon drops, but they don't seem to sell them these days. I didn't want to bring a bag of gummy bears, so things change. Some things change. But really, wouldn't we all like to live in a land, a dreamy land, where troubles did melt away like lemon drops? I mean, troubles can be personal, and I know that everyone has had some troubles in the past, or maybe you have some troubles going on with you right now. And most of us also have some fears about troubles that might come up for us in the future. Troubles are just difficulties or problems that we have to deal with as we're making our way through life. Now, we usually think, when I say trouble, I usually think of, oh, my own little troubles or some family thing. But another meaning of the word troubles is public unrest or disorder, like the Irish Troubles of the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. I'm aware of that because I went to Belfast, Ireland in the 1990s, and I saw what it was like to have so many armed soldiers in the street. And yet we still had a very nice visit, strangely or not. And you could also say that, we're having a much milder form of trouble than in discord, let's call it discord in America today. And I just wanted to mention it because we're still having our Independence Day weekend, and we all want to feel celebratory. It's the 249th anniversary of our nation. You might know who Congressman John Lewis was. He was an American civil rights icon, and he famously said, "Speak up, speak out, get in the way, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America." Now, the term good trouble sounds self-contradictory, but he was really advocating making people's voices heard through nonviolence, peaceful protest, non-resistance. We see a lot of that in our streets today. Nonviolent action can focus attention on a situation without causing more harm. While violence, resistance, often seems to harden the forces at play. It's almost like it builds it up into more and more of a struggle and can make change even more difficult. So trouble can be personal, something we feel like we ought to be able to handle ourselves, or trouble can affect a group, like a family or a country or even the whole world. But whatever the trouble is, and whatever seems to be the cause, who or what seems to be responsible, trouble just means that someone or something is suffering. So I wanted to talk about this today because, to be honest, the New Thought movement, our science of mind teachings, tend to be so filled with positive ideas, positive affirmations, positive ideas and advice to always look for the silver lining, to see the good everywhere, which is all true. But sometimes we can fail to pay enough attention to suffering and sorrow. But the thing is, we don't want to ignore trouble when it happens to us. We don't want to pretend that things are okay when they are not okay. We need to admit what we're going through if we want to get through it. We don't want to get locked into a feeling of dissatisfaction without admitting what's really going on. I don't know who exactly said, if you're going through hell, keep going. But it's the truth. It's what we have to do. We don't want to deny our day-to-day experiences or deny our feelings about what is happening, because in reality, sometimes horrible stuff happens. You might have heard about the flood in Texas. That's a horrible thing. When someone dies, it's okay to grieve, to feel it. When a relationship or a friendship ends, it's okay to feel it. When there's financial loss, when there's a sense that something or someone you love is at risk, it's okay to admit that and feel it. And in fact, sometimes you may find that you have a delayed reaction. Maybe you feel numb at first, or maybe you just have to keep working on the situation and you can't take time. You've got to deal with the day-to-day before you can set that time aside and allow your feelings to be an expression. Sometimes we just need to have a time and space to process our emotions. Eventually, it is important to be able to deal with whatever might have been upsetting to you. Now, I really do like to live on the bright side of life, and I really do like to encourage everyone to do that. But on the other hand, sometimes the only songs that can soothe my spirit are the old spirituals, like nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. And there is a word for this process, catharsis. It's a process of releasing strong, repressed emotions in order to bring relief. And music can be one of the methods for bringing that about. And sometimes the very first step in getting out of trouble is to simply notice that we are stuck. Notice that we are feeling lost or feeling helpless in the face of what is going on around us or in our own lives. See, we need to admit that this unwanted condition, the trouble, exists before we can make a new choice, before we can lay claim to what you want to experience, which we like to call the wanted condition, the goal, the choice, the destination. So I know I'm not the only person here who has difficulty admitting when I need help. It can be a serious thing for me. I still, one of the lessons I learned was when I sprained my ankle in the middle of a huge grassy field, and someone came up to me and said, "Do you need help?" No, I don't need any help. I'm fine. I couldn't even walk. I'm standing there. No, I'm fine. And they're like, "Here, let me bring you a chair." Oh, okay, thank you. I didn't need help, but it was so hard to admit it. And that was such a simple and obvious instance. And I'm not the only one who gets frustrated by that gap between what I'm wishing for and what life is dishing up. And there's a reason why we use that term, wishy-washy. Why we have sayings like, if wishes were fishes, we'd all swim in riches. Or, I like this one, if wishes were horses, then beggars would ride. These are very old sayings. It's not enough to wish. Wishes are not actually decisions. However, we can look at our wishes and daydreams and use them as clues. Clues to help us figure out what decisions need to be made about where we are in life and where we would like to be in life. So many of you know that this center was started by my mother, Jane Claypool, almost 35 years ago. But you might not know that before she became a minister, she was deeply involved in the AA, or Alcoholics Anonymous program. The first time she got sober, I remember, was after she was in a terrible auto accident. I was about 6 or 7. She drove into a lamppost. You might say she was scared straight. Later on, after I was grown and gone out of the house, her shrink told her she was cured, that she could drink normally now. And, well, she discovered that he was wrong. But happily then, she was able to get sober for good with the help of an AA group in Mexico, where she lived for a few years. And you can read about some parts of her life in her self-help book called Wise Women Don't Worry, Wise Women Don't Sing the Blues. She never minded sharing her story, although most people in 12-step programs should and do stay anonymous for very good reasons. Now, I'm a great fan of 12-step programs, not just because they help my mother, but because they've helped so many people that I am close to. 12-step programs are very compatible with our New Thought teaching in so many ways. And in fact, I found it interesting that the founders of AA used to actually hold their retreats at the High Watch Farm in Connecticut. The High Watch Farm was a farm that was used by the students of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was one of ErnestHolmes, the founder of the Science of Mind, one of his teachers. And in fact, one of Emma Curtis Hopkins' followers eventually bought the farm and gave it to a group of the original AA founders to use as a recovery center. And that farm is still in use as a recovery center to this day. So in thinking about trouble, it just really felt important to me to share that the first of the 12 steps in Alcoholics Anonymous is that we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. The first step, whenever you want to change, is to admit that something is going on that you don't want to see continue in your life anymore. Now, 12-step programs are quite harmonious with our approach to life, although I believe we go deeper into the metaphysics behind how and why change is possible, as well as how to do it. So then, what's ours to do next? After we have admitted to ourselves or figured out for ourselves what the trouble is, and hopefully gotten the vision of what we would like to experience instead. Maybe it's just more happiness, or even a sense of peace. Or it could be something dramatic, like a shift in career, or a new feeling of health and vitality. Whatever it is, the process is the same. We must change our thinking in order to change our lives. We say that all the time. Change your thinking and change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Well, how? How do you do that? A lot of us get stuck in a rut. It's not that easy to change something you've been doing day after day, year after year, or decade after decade. Right? How do you make that change when things get so firmly entrenched? Well, that brings me back to the idea of melting. Letting our troubles melt away like lemon drops. It sounds crazy to say something like that, but this can actually happen when we are able to open our minds and think about life as being full of infinite possibilities. One way that I do that personally, and we all have different ways, is to think about scientific facts that I already know are true. So, for instance, I could think, oh, what could be more solid and hard than a diamond? That's one of our hardest natural substances. Well, diamonds are made from carbon. Coal is made from carbon. So is the graphite lead inside a pencil. That's made from carbon. Huh, so is carbon dioxide. Every breath. We breathe in oxygen, we transform, and breathe out carbon dioxide. That gas in our atmosphere that we breathe out through our lungs is then taken up by plants through their leaves, returning back to the atmosphere as oxygen. And carbon dioxide, that's what we use in fizzy drinks and soda. I think about those things in order to break loose that idea that things are fixed. Things are not fixed. Things can change, including my ideas. Going back to Emma Curtis Hopkins for a moment, if you read her books, you might see that she used a term, chemicalization. I don't think it's used anywhere except in New Thought and maybe Christian Science. It's not a scientific term. It's a special term. And I take it to mean looking at the current forms that we are experiencing in our lives that we don't want to experience, like troubles, and using our mind to see them dissolve back into their basic elements. And in that concept of something being in its elemental form, just like we can imagine carbon broken down into its basic chemical form and then being reconfigured, we can also begin to imagine, for instance, a troubled relationship with a friend or a relative being broken down or chemicalized to the point where it is dissolved in our minds back to the beginning, back to the most basic thing, which is that at one time our relationship was based on love. When we can break it down and see that potential for love to be reestablished, regenerated in a new form, in a new positive expression in our lives, that's what I mean by allowing our troubles to melt away. It's a way of breaking things down so that you really see the options for something new to emerge. So one way to do it is to think of the example I gave of imagining carbon taking so many shapes. It just kind of helps me relax, and it can help you kind of soften up your opinions about how hard and fast everything is, really, compared to how hard and fast it seems to be. So, you've all known or heard of someone who had a terrible relationship that got better over time. We've all heard about someone who was reunited with their child or their parent or their old friend that they hadn't seen for 30 years. You've all known or been aware, perhaps, how friends can fight and become estranged and then forgive each other and see the good, the new, and maybe it won't go back to the way it was. Something new can emerge. I'm just saying that it is by releasing old ideas about what we don't want and thinking instead about what we do want. We're actually working on an invisible plane to change what we are experiencing in what you could call the world of effect, the visible plane. Another way to visualize the possibility of change in forms is to think of water and how it so easily shifts from solid ice to liquid or to water vapor or steam. When I am using spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer, on behalf of someone who has asked me to do a treatment for them because they would like to experience a change, I often will say to myself that all doubt, all obstacles now melt away like snow falling in a lake. That's actually easier for me to visualize than imagining that a diamond is going to turn into a ball of silver. Right? We all have to find images that work for us. Another way that works for a lot of people is to think about how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, or an egg into a chicken, or a flower into a fruit. So do you see how you can use your thought processes to more easily allow unwanted conditions in your life to dissolve, to let go of them, so that then you can move ahead and concentrate gently on what it is you want to experience instead. So, no doubt you will find that some ideas about change, some release of trouble or hardship or even addictions will be pretty easy for you, and some will be harder. And I just want to say this: if you feel stymied or you feel stumped or stuck, do not hesitate to ask for help. It's really often easier for a person to do treatment or know the truth for somebody else than even for themselves. ErnestHolmes had a practitioner who did treatment for him. I ask other ministers and practitioners to do treatment for me. Oh, just this morning, I sent out a quick, neat treatment. I can't find the iPad that we use to do our live streaming. Where was it? I knew I had it at my computer when I was headed for my work basket where I put everything and couldn't find it. Oh, within a few minutes, it was like suddenly revealed that it was underneath a piece of paper that I had accidentally set on top of it because I had gotten distracted on the way from my computer to wherever I thought I was going. But I wouldn't have seen it. Treatment works. It works on the tiniest instances, but it also works on truly major issues. And they're not all troubles. I'm talking about troubles today. But sometimes change isn't necessarily a result of trouble. It's just a result of a desire for more. We have a right to have more. We don't have to always wait until we're motivated by things going wrong. If things are going right, we can still change and make progress. But I just want to let everyone know that if you find that you are suffering, if you are in pain, whether it's physical or mental, financial, whatever. If you find it hard to do your own meditation or your own prayer or spiritual mind treatment, we're here for you, just like we're here for each other. So never hesitate to ask for treatment. So maybe there's some people watching online who don't know what we mean by spiritual mind treatment. So we can call a treatment an affirmative prayer, but it is not a request made to an outside entity or supreme being, like most people kind of think prayer is. We believe that a treatment is a scientific approach to inducing or creating within our mind, and we understand that our individual minds are one with the infinite creative mind, universal spirit, of bringing into our mind concepts, acceptances, realizations of peace, poise, power, plenty, health, happiness, success, or whatever is desired. Treatment is not about willing or forcing things to happen at all. It simply provides an avenue through which we can allow it to happen. The simplest way to think of it is to just imagine that we put our thoughts into the receptive, subconscious mind of spirit in the very same way that a gardener plants seeds in the soil of a garden. And that the universe responds to our treatment in the very same way that the soil responds to the planted seeds. We know that life is a creative process. And we, therefore, are actually able to work in harmony with spirit just as easily and as naturally as the gardener is able to work with nature. When I do a treatment for you or anyone, I don't do anything to you. I simply know the truth about you. I know the truth of your perfection. I know that all things are possible. I know that nothing is predetermined. And so therefore I can declare and believe that all is well, that all will be well, that everything that needs to be resolved is resolved in the highest and best way, in accord with your specific request. So, before I end, let's think again about that song, Over the Rainbow. And bring into your mind, I imagine most of you have seen the 1930s version of the Wizard of Oz movie. Because Dorothy's journey is a perfect example of what we have come to call the hero's journey. The heroine, Dorothy, was propelled into an adventure. She received wise guidance from Glinda, the good witch. She made friends with the lion, the scarecrow, and the Tin Man. She went through so many difficult tests and trials, fighting off those little monkeys, flying monkeys. And eventually, she overcame that nemesis, the bad witch, the personification of trouble. How did she do it? Oh, with a plain old bucket of water. That's all it took. But when Dorothy melted her troubles away, the story wasn't over. When the witch was vanquished, when the trouble was over, her journey was not over. She still had to continue on in order to get to the Emerald City, where she finally discovered that the ideas that she had in her mind about how she was going to get back to Kansas were wrong. She found out that her idea of the mighty wizard was nothing more than a man pretending. You could say that she had been misled by appearances in the same way that you might be misled by seeing a shadow on a wall. Once she was in Emerald City, Dorothy was enlightened, informed, and awakened to the realization that she had the power to go home all along. And she easily found herself back home in Kansas then, bearing the fruits of her journey. The gifts of wisdom, freedom, friendship, and gratitude, as she finally was able to realize that for her, there was no place like home, that all was well, and she had nothing to fear. The truth is that we are not living in a dream world. There may seem like there are shadows around us, but don't be misled by them. The truth is that we are living in an infinite universe of good in expansion. The science of mind, our teaching, is a metaphysical approach to living. We have found that through understanding and using what we call spiritual principles and practices, we can experience a more fulfilling and satisfying life for ourselves and together. It's as if we are able to actually become kind of like a conduit for even more good to come into expression through us. As Emma Curtis Hawkins wrote, there is good for us and we ought to have it. And that's the truth, and so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all by myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here as God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer. So this is our moment when we have an opportunity to make a contribution to our center. Some people like to donate on Venmo or PayPal, and for those watching online, you can find a link to that on the website. For those here today, the addresses and numbers are in your program. But what I'd like you to do first is just look in your program, and we have a sing. So let's say this together. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I am, and all that I can. I know this is so, and so it is.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. Sing it with me. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
So I just want to thank everyone who came today, whether it's your first time or whether you come every week. Please make yourself at home, stay for fellowship. Be sure to sign our guest book in the lobby if you haven't done it yet. And if you're watching online, you can sign up for our email newsletter on our website also. Inside your program, you'll find information about requesting spiritual mind treatment. We do have forms that you can fill out and put in a box in the lobby. And also in the lobby, you'll find our volunteer sign-up sheet. And I want to thank all our volunteers. But before I do that, today is birthday Sunday.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, and many more.
Thank you all, and yes, you do have cake. So let's just take a moment to thank all of our volunteers today, because you make everything possible. I just want to mention a few who work behind the scenes today. Larry for being greeter, Jim and Daryl for doing the recording. Jan S. brought the beautiful flowers today. And I think that's good. Other people pitched in and helped set up, and it all worked out beautifully. So let's give our volunteers a hand. And now I would like to invite Linda to come up to light our candles this morning. Before we leave, let's remind ourselves of the underlying spirit of life and the divine unity of all. So first, we light a candle for life. Life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life now. So please affirm with me, I am life. We light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and recognize our unity. We are points of love within the heart of God. Please affirm with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is the presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. We radiate the light of God wherever we are. So please affirm with me, I am light. And we light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We are each whole, complete, and beautiful, just as we are. We accept the beauty of God's perfection as our perfection now. So please affirm with me, I am beauty. And we light a candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. We each bring joy to the world. So please affirm with me, I am joy. We light a candle for peace. Today and every day, we open our hearts to peace. We are each a center of peace in our world. So please affirm with me, I am peace. And finally, I invite you to take a moment and recognize your own inner light that is always shining within. As we each honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles.